Good afternoon. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here on this afternoon, the 9th of November, to honor a person I think we all love and admire. I don't care if my voice breaks, it's going to do that a lot. But it's wonderful to think that we have a chance to come and be blessed by the experience given by a mother, a sister, family, and to every one of us, a friend. It's just an excellent thing to see each and every one of your faces. And I hope that you'll find this worth your while. I think you will. So let's do it again, okay? All right. And we'll move on now to the next in order. Thank you again. we'll be singing 4 hymns. Notice I said we. That's right. The first is number 239 in the hymnals in your pews, and many of you know it for memory. Jesus, Priceless Treasure. If you want to sing parts, go ahead. It should be. But I don't see you all up here. while they're sitting, that gives you all an opportunity to turn in those hymnals I mentioned before. I'm listening. To 239. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're going to ask. Let me help you. Yes, we're going to sing all verses of this one. Get to know that. All right? So, Jesus' priceless treasure, whatever your custom, whatever your tradition is, if you like to stand, we invite you to do so. If you don't want to stand, talk to someone who does, and I think you'll be inspired. Please rise. You may be heated.
It doesn't say I'm going to talk, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity. I first met Bunny as a student when I was a student at CalArts in 1975, and we had instant rapport. She was always so encouraging and loving and wonderful to work with, and we immediately started exploring all the repertoire for flute and soprano. And one of the real joys about that was when we would play things, she would always stand right here, and I would make my sound and she would make her sound, and we would make our sound together, which was just a wonderful thing. We blended together, so it was a unique sound. And then when I graduated from school, some of my very first jobs were ones that she hired me to do, and we went on to play many, many, many innumerable concerts together. And then for a while, we had a group here called the Santa Clarita Chamber Players, which had a series concert right here in this church. And of course, our Baroque group, Bach Circle, she played with many times. And then, of course, one of the highlights was the Cantori Domino trip to Europe when we went and played in all the Bach cities, which was really fantastic. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was her wonderful laugh, which I know we all really appreciated. It doesn't say in the program today, but I'm going to play the third movement from the Partita in A minor for solo flute by J.S. Bach, the Sarabande.
Und now. 461, be still my soul. He is, isn't he? I'm sorry to hear that.
I want to thank Eric for that beautiful introduction. It's been a long time since such kind words were said, if undeserved. Now, Eric's a dear friend and rightly feeling much today. Rightly feeling much. Thank you so much for everything so far. Janet, that Jesu, joy of man's desiring, was exactly as I remember Bunny wanting it articulated and phrased. And the gender-inclusive language, it's not Jesu, joy of man's desiring, it's Jesu, joy of our desiring. Something very special there. And this fabulous Bach arrangement of Jesus' priceless treasure. The theological content of this so rich and so deep and so appropriate, the lyrics. In thine arm I rest me. Foes who would molest me cannot reach me here, though the earth be shaking, every heart be quaking. Jesus calms my fears. Sin and hell and conflict fell, but their bitter storms assail me. But Jesus will not fail me. And that is a message for all time. And Janet, that solo, wow, I can just hear Bunny singing alongside that flute. So many collaborations that she entered and did. What a time. So I'm guessing this afternoon that many of you here have known Bunny for a very long time. We knew her as she was, loving, faithful, fiercely loyal, a friend, positive, energetic, present and fully alive, brilliant, focused, skillful, determined, a force of nature, beautiful, a lady, a person of faith, a thinker, a theologian, a teacher, a musician extraordinaire, a tactician, a leader, a mentor. She's a provider, generous, hospitable. We witnessed her commitment to family and the power of togetherness and home. We experienced her commitment to friendships, community, faith, her craft, her guild, her many professional collaborations, as well as her persona and personal presence, the energy she held in this world. We're here because we experienced the wonder and the gift that was Bunny. Bunny was the second child of Jack and Norma Phillips. She was born on May 11, 1935. Bunny's older sister Jackie recounts that they moved a lot in their early years. Life took them to Lincoln, Nebraska, then to Beverly Hills, then to Pomona. Was it Pomona that Bunny studied at Adventist school there and met Wes Thornburgh for the first time, the boy who would eventually be her husband? From Pomona, her family went to Oklahoma City and then came back to Pomona. Not sure what's with Pomona, but it seems to have featured heavily. Jackie noted that Wes was happy to see Bunny had come back to Pomona, and that plays out, of course, later in the story. I'm sure he was. Phillips' family also had a stint in Phoenix and in Wichita, Kansas. While in Wichita, Bunny attended what was then Enterprise Academy, ultimately ending up at Union Academy where she graduated. She also took some classes at Union College at the time, around the same time actually, studying social work. It was in Kansas Jackie married Paul, and who also attended and graduated from Union College in Lincoln. Eventually, the whole Phillips family ended up back in California. Bunny did marry Wesley C. Thornburgh on September 16, 1959. They lived in Alta Loma, then Claremont, then moved to Huntington Beach, where Wes worked as a space program engineer for McDonnell Douglas, part of humankind's first effort to go to the moon. Jill and I, my wife and I, share the same anniversary date as Wes and Bunny did. We'd often share a meal around this time to celebrate our anniversaries, and we were regaled with stories of their past. Yes, they had met while in school at Pomona. Their transition later to married life was challenging, as Jill's and mine had been, particularly at first. Wes was just out of the Army, a tough guy ranger, used to proving himself, not attuned to domestic sensitivities and not clear on how to be a husband. Bunny was a musician, an artist, something of a muse, much more comfortable in her own skin, but struggled with her own ideals of how things ought to be in married life and what actually was. Suffice it to say, they had much to figure out, as so many of us who've been married know. We've had much to figure out. The important thing is this: they did figure it out. As they used to jokingly say, we've been married 50 years, 40 of them were happy. It's been proven that a challenging first year, if survived, often means a long and successful marriage. This they forged through thick and thin, in sickness and in health, in good times and bad, with strength and fortitude and ever-growing wisdom. Eric was added to the family in September 24, 1962, and Jonathan Peter, September 24, 1964. Happy, grateful, and proud, health challenges brought stress and uncertainty. Eric suffered through meningitis, and both boys were eventually diagnosed with a very rare gamma globulin disorder. Untiring in her pursuit of answers, a true diagnosis, and real help, Bunny and Wes found and partnered with an outstanding pediatrician to get things under control. Her boys would need monthly transfusions, and it wasn't known how long either would live. But Bunny was undaunted. This was her family. She would seek and she would find and fight, as she sometimes had to in advocacy. Articulate and quick, she would not stop until she got what her boys required, until her family was secured. This fight and the truth that life was tenuous and uncertain led Bunny to be the matriarch she became. Though licensed to practice law in Oregon, Eric chose to settle in the Santa Clarita area. Pete and Ginger likewise chose to live and raise their families near Wes and Bunny also. Friday nights became family time when all the family gathered at Bunny's beautiful table. The sounds and scents, the sights of Sabbath, along with consistent togetherness, was a source of joy and an acknowledgement that life was tenuous, fragile, that nothing lasts forever, and that family is so important. Being present to Eric, Pete, and Ginger, Jordan, and Luke was her greatest personal joy, and she did it in her home right here in Valencia. Most of us know her from the context of her career, and it was a brilliant one. Jackie remembers Bunny's musical career beginning very early, singing at the Pomona Adventist Church, there's Pomona again, at 2 or 3 years of age. I remember, well, I'll get to this in a minute, while singing into a tent where a gypsy boy lay, the tent she was singing in fell down on top of her, and she kept on, undaunted. Sounds about right. precocious and able to hold pitch, and of course, one must go on. Here an aside. You'll note that I did not say the show must go on. That's the normal turn of that phrase. Whenever her work involved the sacred by virtue of a lyric, historical setting, or the physically consecrated spaces of sanctuary, what one did was never performance. There was no show. It wasn't a stage, it was a chancel. Not a lectern, but a pulpit. Whether singing a solo, playing an instrument, leading an ensemble, or participating in one, it was an offering to God, a gift. I don't know how early this was impressed upon her, or when she came to this religious theological awakening or conviction, but as long as I've known her, she was always careful to lead in prayers that lifted music beyond production and performance to the throne of God as a means of worship, as a means of her personal commitment, sacrifice, and giving. Coming back from that note, in terms of the arc of her career, she worked for a time as a social worker, serving inmates in California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations. Her early career also, of course, involved vocal performance and participation in various choirs, commuting into Santa Monica to the Presbyterian Church to sing. In the mid to late 1960s, Bunny worked with her uncle, Wayne Hooper, who was one of the editors of this hymnal that we just sang from, a mentor and a friend, someone who she really looked up to and had enormous gifts of his own. She tells the story that she didn't know until she was an adult that not every family spent Friday night singing in 8-part harmony. That tells you something, doesn't it? Wayne worked with the Voice of Prophecy, and she did also as a soloist and member of the Hymn Singers, connected to Del Delker and, of course, the famous King's Heralds. In September of 71, she and her family moved to Valencia, where Wes could work for Lockheed, and in part so Bunny could attend California Institute of the Arts, working on vocal performance. There she earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in music. After graduating from Cal Arts, as has been mentioned, she taught there and was a mentor to many. Working from sort of the general, specific, and present to past, her official online bio notes parts of the following, which I've edited for flow. Morita Bunny Phillips Thornburgh was an internationally known soprano soloist. She resided in Southern California, was the conductor of Cantori Domino, and served as minister of music at the St. Augustine by the Sea Episcopal Church in Santa Monica. She performed extensively as a recitalist throughout the United States and Europe, the Middle East, and the Caribbean. She was known for her exquisite musicianship and artistry and had an extensive repertoire, ranging from 14th century works to more recent writings. She particularly enjoyed music from the Baroque era, especially that of Johann Sebastian Bach. She sang as a soloist in major choral works with the Los Angeles Philharmonic, Seattle Symphony, the Roger Wagner Chorale, and performed under the direction of noted conductors Eric Leinsdorf, Zubin Mehta, Eugene Ormandy, George Solti, Herbert Blumstead, Esa-Pekka Salonen, and Gerard Schwartz. She also conducted choral groups, including the chamber singers at La Sierra University for a year, and served as an artistic director for several programs. In 1991, Bunny became artistic director and co-founder of a semi-professional choral group, Cantori Domino, along with her friend and co-founder Mary Gerlitz, who passed unexpectedly in 2013. Cantori Domino loosely translates to the master singer, the intent being to sing sacred music only to the glory of God, Her choral group performed extensively, participating in choral workshops and touring England, Italy, and Eastern Europe. She began conducting choral groups at age 16 and has led numerous church choirs in the intervening years, including choirs at Vallejo Drive Seventh-day Adventist Church and the Episcopal Church in Santa Monica. When she began her second year at St. Augustine's by the Sea Episcopal Church in Santa Monica, she was inducted as Minister of Music in a church and service that paid tribute to her. The church's two ministers who had worked with her previously, and the choir participated in the service, rich in ceremony and in sacred masterpieces. She's recorded several albums with major recording companies and has sung in numerous soundtracks for television and film, including one of my favorites, Beauty and the Beast, Amistad, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Hook, Aladdin, Jurassic Park, Anastasia, Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolution, and others. Thornburgh attended Union College, La Sierra University, and the California Institute of Music. She graduated from CIM, where she also served as a faculty member. Andrews University awarded her an honorary Doctor of Fine Arts degree in August of 2000 in recognition of her achievements as a soloist, teacher, and conductor. Of course, many of you already knew much of that. What a gift she was, musically and personally, to the worlds in which she worked and interacted, particularly, as was mentioned at the beginning, to her family. Bunny had so many connections, and I'm just going to share the story of one before I sit down. I first met Bunny in December of 1981 at Monterey Bay Academy, where her son Peter was attending, one class ahead of me. Peter and I sang together in the Oceanaires, and I worked in the music department for Mrs. Nelson, an outstanding pianist, musician, director in her own right. Let's see. She was a friend of Bunny's. Mrs. Nelson knew all the notable musicians up and down the state. One Sabbath, Mrs. Thornburgh, as I would have known her, was visiting. I don't know all the details because it was many years ago, but I clearly remember that she was asked to sing. And she asked my boss, Mrs. Nelson, to accompany her on the spot, no rehearsal. The piece was Mozart's Hallelujah. Bunny was radiant, beautiful, and projected a confidence and joy so rare that just by itself, it commanded the room full of high schoolers, if you can imagine. As she looked out over at Mrs. Nelson and shoved the microphone aside, I knew we were in for something pretty serious. The church at Monterey Bay Academy had terrible acoustics, carpet throughout, and despite that, we could hear her perfectly. Her performance was brilliant and memorable. I remember seeking her out afterward, gushing, I'm sure. The word for the day was enthralled. It suddenly became clear to me why Peter was the musician-singer he was, always on pitch and right on the money in terms of rhythm, anticipating his entries perfectly, and so clearly proud to be his mother's son. Not coming from a particularly musical family myself, I was a bit envious, if truth be told, that someone might have such musical gifts in the family. Bunny and I would later reconnect at Vallejo Drive, where she led the chancel choir, and I sang for a season in the early 90s. Our paths would cross when I joined the pastoral team at Southern California Conference in 1997 as pastor of the Hollywood Church, where the Thornburghs had attended many years previous for a brief while, before ending up here in Valencia in 1971. In 2004, with Pastor Rothler's election to the region office, I was called to pastor this congregation, and so came to work with Bunny on many levels over a period of 10 years. Some of you know of her church involvements, some of you might not. She was a Sabbath school teacher extraordinaire, able to draw commentary and engagement with great dignity and respect, able to advance educated and progressive opinions in a manner that was inclusive and comfortable for others. She was a church elder, wise and prudent, supportive. In her public appeals, presentations, announcements, she brought that same sparkle, articulateness, and energy, something that made this very space come to life. She brought light, poetry, and beauty to her prayers, and she always was encouraging. She served our church board with discretion, faith, due diligence, and great care. Bunny represented this local church to many Seventh-day Adventist entities, too, from the West Region to the Executive Committee of the Pacific Union to task forces on the division level. Bunny also conducted and directed our chancel choir, including community outreach concerts such as a Messiah sing-along every year that we were able. The church benefited from her connections going back to Newhall Presbyterian, Cal Arts, and more current engagements like St. Augustine's by the Sea. She also participated in and chaired Santa Clarita's Worship Planning Committee, articulating an architecture of worship that informed our service for many, many years. And though dedicated to more classical and traditional forms of music and worship, much to her credit, Bunny transcended her own stylistic preferences in support of family. Peter, Jordan, and Luke embraced and participated in more contemporary forms of musical praise, and she loved playing keyboard with them. She taught music to our children, not only through private voice and piano lessons, but by encouraging them in participation. She affirmed the generations rising up, and she taught we who were adults, modeling consistent participation in and with the larger community and the world. Bunny was a hostess at heart and often fed us in her home or at a quality restaurant where service and food could be enjoyed and conversation and connection fostered. Having trained as a social worker, Bunny brought compassion and generosity to people in need in ways I'll never fully know. Her willingness to extend herself for others revealed and it expressed a tremendous heart full of love and a deep desire that all might thrive. Among the many gifts Bunny was given, and in turn shared with all of us, music would have to be perhaps the more obvious. I spent hours this week seeking online recordings featuring Bunny or groups that she was part of. Listening to her sing a major solo from Brahms' Ein Deutsches Requiem from a recorded 1989 performance at Loma Linda University reminded me of the many gifts we received through her prowess and power, her mastery, and her control.
Mm-hmm. 461. Be still, my soul. Same directions as before. If you're able to stand, and do it in enjoyment. If you're not, seek someone else's counsel. Be still, my soul, the Lord is on thy side. The next hymn is one that my great uncle Wayne Hooper authored. We have this hope. We are just going to sing the first verse because many of your hymnals only have one verse. So let's enjoy it. Thank you very much. You may be eated. Greg, do you want me to give you another introduction? That's why I asked you. So you'll recognize that the gentleman coming up to speak here has a similar name to the flautist we heard from. And yes is the answer to your question. Need we say more? Alan, thank you.
Hello, everybody. Well, when I think of Bunny, which is very often, I think of the first time I met her and also the last time I saw her. These are events over 50 years apart. And the first time I met her was around 1971. I had just gotten a job teaching at Cal Arts. I was about 26. And the dean said to me, well, we have someone that you should really hear. She's a new student here. You're going to be her advisor, or the word we use, of course, has been used today a lot. You'll be her mentor. She'll be your mentee. Even though you're a little older than her, you're a little younger than her, you're still, what can we do? You're still going to be her mentor. And she came into the room, Bunny came into the room, and I was immediately struck by just the way she looked and the vibe, the spiritual vibe that she just gave off. Everything about her, and the people I'm speaking to here know what I'm talking about. So she had this wonderful vibe, and I immediately had this respect for her. And I said, well, Miss Thornburgh, actually we called students by the first names there, could you please sing something for me? And she sang a beautiful aria, and I said to myself, I should be her mentee. She should be my mentor, because she sang so beautifully, as we've heard many times, and even when she was much younger, before her professional career had really started, she had from the beginning that quality that we always heard in Bunny's voice. And the consistency, and speaking of consistency, I'd like to jump 50 years or more to when I last saw her. This is maybe about a month or so ago. And she had been sick for a while, and I went to visit her. And by then, she had had a stroke, as we know, long ago, and she was just lying in bed. She wasn't singing, obviously. She wasn't even able to speak. Nevertheless, there was something about her that was exactly the same as that time many years ago when I had first met her. There was something about Bunny that was consistent. And I think all those 50 or more years in between these two events that I have just been mentioning, she was consistently Bunny. And even though she had so many different roles, just at Cal Arts alone, she was a student. Then she became, not very long after, joined the faculty. And I was so thrilled to be able to perform with her, and because she was just such a great singer and such a great spirit. And then she got and then she moved. I guess it was her spiritual quality somehow inspired her singing and her progress as a artist, because she started out as a soprano, as a soloist, or not even a soloist when I first met her. She was just a freshman student. And nevertheless, she had the talent, and she just was able to sing beautifully all the time. And and she was consistently great. And no matter what her role was, whether she was a faculty member, taking care of so many students, and all who appreciated her, she herself was the mentor I should have been. She was a wonderful mentor to all the students. And then, of all things, she became a music director. And not many sopranos become music directors. It's a sort of different qualities. Well, no reason to laugh. But she became a wonderful music director, a wonderful conductor. I had the opportunity of performing under her and doing many Bach things. So when I think of Bunny, I think of this consistency of her character, her different abilities, all of which she is able to do wonderfully. So I will always remember Bunny, and I think we all should remember Bunny, because she kind of represents humanity at its best. And I think the more we can remember her, the better. And I have just one little way I remember, because I also took some voice lessons with Bunny. And I remember one thing she said to me. She said, when you sing, and I'm an oboe player, so I studied, breathing a lot and this and that. But she said something which you never heard on oboe lessons. She said, when you talk and when you sing, practice breathing through your nose and your mouth at the same time. And when I do that, whether meditating or just talking, when I remember, it's a wonderful feeling of you can take so much air through your nose and your mouth at the same time. Let's try that once. Let's take a good breath through your nose. And it's a wonderful sigh, a joyful sigh, and I'll always remember with that, and let's all try to remember Bunny every day, and it'll be to our benefit and to the benefit of all the people we know. Thank you very much.
Some of you may be wondering where the sermon is, and I'm here to disappoint you. When Eric and I spoke, we never talked about an expository time of reflection in Scripture, because I think of what was just said by Alan Bogle. Bunny had an expansive view of the world. She was well-traveled. She met lots of different kinds of people with different practices and standards and values. She had matured in the 60s and 70s, a time of foment and change and opening in our country. She understood the value of secular democracy and the freedom that it provided for everybody. She was engaged not in so much thinking about her textual understandings doctrinally, although she was well formed, but living them. Her embodiment of a spirituality, as was just mentioned, was palpable. And so her life became a sermon, one that taught inclusivity and generosity and tolerance, one that valued people, respected expertise, encouraged people to find expertise if they didn't have it. She was somebody who believed that a doorpost could learn to sing an on-tune C. That was how optimistic she was. I mean, to a fault, and I think at that level it probably was. And to the point of not many music directors being a soprano, I'm not sure I fully comprehended that, except to say she had lots of things to say about the particularities of the soprano voice and how difficult it was for women to sing together and to blend. And she taught us as best as possible how to overcome that and to do that. And she lived that herself. Sometimes it would be said that Bunny didn't operate out of ego. I want to totally disagree with that. She had the most powerful ego of almost anybody I ever met. But it wasn't the kind of ego that's wallowing in the kind of narcissism that so many performers and musicians engage. It was the kind of ego that brought strength and purpose and focus and direction and endured the criticisms and input from other smart minds and capable people with opinions and educated ones. She had to be able to corral cats to holler in one unison called a choir. You know that that's maybe more true than we would like to admit, right? There was something about her spirit that understood the Psalms so beautifully. Psalm 98 is listed here. She would have read it so beautifully. Oh, sing to the Lord a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory. The Lord hath made known his salvation, his righteousness hath he openly showed in the sight of the heathen. He hath remembered his mercy and his truth toward the house of Israel. All the ends of the world, the earth, have seen the salvation of our God. Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all the earth. Make a loud noise and rejoice and sing praise. Sing to the Lord with the harp and with the voice of a psalm, with trumpets and the sound of cornet, and make a joyful noise before the Lord, the King. Let the sea roar and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. Let the floods clap their hands. Let the hills be joyful together before the Lord, for he cometh to judge the earth. With righteousness shall he judge the world, and the people with equity. She lived this. She lived this. So I'm off the hook. No sermon. She was a dedicated Seventh-day Adventist, grounded in faith, but she didn't wear it on her sleeve. She didn't lord it over anybody, nor was she embarrassed by it, nor did she hide from it. She joyfully and willingly participated with Christians of all walks of life and people of some faith, little faith, no faith, people against faith. She would not be moved. That's hard to believe. It's hard to believe 9 years since she was well and mobile. All of you must know she suffered a serious stroke in late 2015, which left her profoundly impaired and took much of her capacity to speak. Wes had to work through heart issues and bypass surgery only to take care of Bunny through a terrible and disabling stroke. Their marriage lasted until Wes went to his rest on July 2 of 2021 at their home. Commendably, Bunny was not diminished in love or spirit. Helen, I think you referred to this too. Her sheer will to come back meant fighting, and she regained the strength and capacities that she could. We've all had some time to grieve the loss of what was, and encounter and interact with the love that remained. Even though half her body was paralyzed, she remained joyful until her last breath. And I know with certainty she would encourage us to do the same. Friends, we've been here together before. 5 years ago, Bunny and Wes lost their beloved son, Peter, Eric, his only sibling, Ginger, her wonderful husband, her best friend, and Jordan and Luke lost their wise and brilliant father. With Peter's passing, we all lost a friend, a source of inspiration, wit, and joy. That dark day was June 18, 2018. In this place, right here, we mourned and celebrated his life. The church, like today, full of people, full of love for Peter and the whole Thornburgh family. Just over 3 years ago, Wes, Bunny's husband of 62 years, also, as I mentioned, went to rest. His memorial here was July 17 of 2021 in this very church. This amazing place that's been home to the Thornburgh family for so many years. This congregation both sustaining the family and indelibly marked by their persons, their presence, their gifts, their service. Many of us have been here witnesses to all these things. We've been privileged to know, to care, to love, and support the family through life's ups and downs. And the significance of the contributions of this family to our church and communities well beyond is difficult to overestimate. I am grateful and acknowledge the privilege it's been for me to pastor here and present words at times such as this as an offering of gratitude and hope. I shall miss Bunny. And on behalf of the family, thank you for being here. We can, through tears, do nothing apart but from praising God, who has so profoundly touched us and our community on this journey with the Thornburgh family as we celebrate Bunny's life, gifts, and the graces that she's brought all of us this afternoon. Thank you.
Now I would ask you to stand and get ready to sing verse 1, 2, and 5 for all the saints. I don't know when I've ever heard this room sounds so rich. Invite the choir to come up now, and with a piece, the final piece, as it turns out, from the St. Matthew Passion by J.S. Bach.
its roots deeply bent sprang forth, friend, and it bloomed still for you and for me. There's a rose, a lovely rose, and save me, O Lord. O divine Redeemer, O divine Redeemer, I pray thee grant me pardon and remember not, O Lord, my sin. Save in the day of retribution, from death shield thou me, O my God. O divine Redeemer of mercy. Help me, my Beyond the sunset, oh blissful morning, when
Bonnie was
with
blessed by
our
God in so many amazing ways.
heaven is begun.
A smile, a soft-spoken word always welcomed you. A love for her family flowed out just endlessly to Wes, Eric, Peter, Ginger, Jordan, and Luke. I've known Bunny for about 24 years, just a mere quarter of her life. We came in 2000 to pastor the church here, and we were warmly welcomed. Pastor Honus followed and gave you a very articulate description of her life. But I want to just reaffirm, it was just absorbed. She absorbed three things in her life: her love for God, her love for her family, her love for her friends, and her love for her music. All saturated her being. And your being here is a testimony of the same. The music that prays to God. Every seasoned pastor knows the spoken word is powerful. Every pastor knows the songs you sing are more powerful because they go with you. So take them with you in your heart. I'd be amiss. I must confess, maybe that's a strong word. My part with Bunny, I would stand next to Wes, and the two of us would hand out the bulletins and we were doing our part. It was a joy to do that. But Bunny would want you to know as well and claim the promise of God's word. So you'll be taking these home. I'm just going to read 1 Corinthians 5, 51 through 58, because this was the promise given to her. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in a twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall rise, incorruptible, and we shall all be changed. For this corrupt must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corrupt shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall it be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But Bunny knew, but thanks be to God, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ. And then she clings to this. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For inasmuch as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. And her labor continues as it's gone on from one generation to another. I'd invite you in just a moment. We have a fellowship hall just diagonally down, and you can greet the family. And there's a nice display table there of Bunny's blessed work and her accomplishments, and encourage one another. Let us pray together as we close our time. Gracious Father in heaven, you have bestowed upon Bunny your spirit, your will, and she embraced it. She absorbed it to the core of her being. As she has laid down life's burdens, her song is ascending. And Father, it will be carried forward by others. Her hands are folded. She rests in the certainty of your love, that one day soon you will call her forth. What a blessed reunion that will be. Father, keep us in the center of your will, just as you did Bunny, that one day soon, your coming, we might be reunited with her and with you. Father, I'm looking forward to that day when she leads the heavenly choir. Keep us in the hollow of your hand and in the center of your will, and bless us, we ask in Christ's precious name. Amen. This will conclude our service. I wish to personally express, and on behalf of the church and the family, thank you so much for coming, for the wonderful songs that you presented, for the testimonies. Go in God's peace and in his Spirit.